Gen Z and the millennials, like they're really like, they look at brands and go like, okay, number one, are they legitimate? Like, do they know what they're doing? Number two, are they good people? Do they treat the environment well? Do they treat their team well? Do they care about quality, or are they just trying to make a buck? And then number three is like, do they care about me in particular? Do they care about getting to know me as a customer so that they don't just throw anything in my face, whether I need it or not?
You are listening to the Messenger Mastermind podcast, a podcast that provides actionable tactics for quickly growing e-commerce companies to profitably scale their business. The strategies shared in this podcast are implemented daily by companies generating millions of dollars in revenue each year. Our goal is to help you build long-term profitable relationships with your customers.
What if your brand could leverage more customer data to combat data privacy changes and boost conversions? With Octane AI, any Shopify and Shopify Plus merchant can. Featuring Shop Quiz and conversational commerce, merchants use Octane AI to get to know their customers on a deeper level by collecting zero-party data. Using this data, you can engage with customers through a more personalized level across campaigns and flows across all channels, building lasting relationships. The ROI from using Octane AI is incredible. Brands have increased email signups by 16x and driven a 28% increase in AOV. Octane AI has plans for any size business. Learn more and get started on your zero-party data journey today at octaneai.com/mastermind. Did you know that loyal customers are 9 times more likely to convert compared to first-time shoppers? That's why using personalization to deliver an exceptional customer service is so key for your retention and growth. I recommend using Gorgias. Gorgias combines all of your communication channels like email, SMS, social media, live chat, and phone into one platform. It gives you an organized view of all of your tickets. This saves your support team hours per day and makes managing customer orders a breeze. With Gorgias, you can have customer order information right next to all of the tickets. So you can personalize responses with things like first name, order, and tracking number. Brands like Princess Polly, Olipop, and Steve Madden have reduced response times and increased efficiencies with Gorgias. For more information, go to gorgias.com and mention the Messenger Mastermind podcast to receive 2 months free. Welcome to another week's episode of the Messenger Mastermind podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jeremy Horowitz, and today I'm joined by another incredible guest, someone who is going to give us a really great experience from over 20 years building a premium luxury skincare brand and has a wealth of knowledge in the space. So let's dive right in. I don't want to waste everybody's time. Please allow me to introduce the co-founder and CEO of Tracie Martyn, Marius Morariu. Marius, how are you doing?
Hi, Jeremy. I'm so happy to be here. I'm a huge fan of your podcast and everything you're doing. So I'm really honored to be on this, and I'm really thrilled to, have a conversation about e-com and how to make everything better for the brand and the customer, because it's all like a win-win situation, isn't it?
Yes. And we always find that the people who get that are usually the most successful. So that's why I'm so excited to dive in today. So before we get into the good stuff and really dive into how you and the Tracie Martyn brand really build personalization for your customers and really establish that relationship, I just want to quickly ask, how did you get into this crazy game of e-commerce?
I actually got into this exciting, crazy game of e-com by being a brand that's really more of an omni-channel brand. And we had a website. It was totally pathetic. I mean, I spent literally like a few $1,000s on our website when we started the business. And it was just basically just for someone to be able to go there and purchase the products. And it had absolutely no other functionality. So when I discovered Shopify and I had the bandwidth to actually, invest into creating our Shopify platform in 2016, I was just so excited. It was like a whole new world. I was like, this is way different than what we were doing before. And it really revolutionized the way we do e-com. And, since then, we only reached like about 500,000 people on our Shopify. And our total addressable market is probably about 60 million households, 50 to 60 million households in the US. So there's way to go. So I'm really, really excited to like amp up the customer acquisition and being able to like give value to our customers, but also get eyeballs, because I think we have a bit of a gem. It just needs to be discovered.
Yeah, definitely. So just because I don't never really get to ask this, just because it's very rare to interview someone with so much experience, and especially at such a pivotal point, I feel like, in retail to e-commerce. What was that major shift like back when you did migrate to Shopify? Of what would you really say was the business before, and what really happened, and what was that major shift when you really invested in your e-commerce presence and on Shopify?
So what was interesting is that before Shopify, basically the business was all like based on grace, because like we got onto the Oprah show, right? For instance, and the Oprah show was incredible. Like Cindy Lauper, who's been a friend for 20 years, came in one day and she goes like, Oprah's got her birthday and I don't know what to give her as a gift. I'm like, why don't you give her a purple bag of Tracie Martyn products? So she went, yeah, it was like so cool, so organic. And, we literally went on the show like about a week and a half later. And it was like the mind blowing experience. And it was, our website crashed, of course. And we made like $1 million from it that year, but it was like, it was such hardship. But then of course the year after, they had a rerun, so that was helpful. But then, like I had like an executive actually from Estee Lauder, and he goes like, well, you're happy about it today, Marius, but how are you going to bring those sales back the next year? In other words, like, this is going to be like a huge like bump, but how do you sustain it? How do you maintain it? And then when we went on Shopify, we realized that it's actually something that builds upon itself, especially when you lock into this ecosystem of, email, and, you diversify your channels, and you have the ability to really fuel one channel fuels the other, and it amplifies the other. And you see the growth being more sustained, and you still get like those really nice peaks, but it's not going back down, but it's rather like peaking and still going back up. So that was really powerful for me to see that this is a scalable business that I can keep fueling and get better and better results.
Yeah. Okay. That's so cool. And also then you have those massive events that are very cool. Kind of like honestly what every brand really aspires to, of getting those major press hits, getting featured by Oprah, that can really propel the brand forward. Your brag banner is pretty cool and very impressive. So how would you say that you've taken that transition, and as we were able to establish more of that, I don't want to call it day to day, but more like direct relationship with customers, how were you able to personalize that experience? How were you able to make them feel very connected, considering you do have such a large brand with such a lot of celebrities in that era, which I feel like has a very like, not mass market, but very wide appeal to the business?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think, what we've created over like 20 years is we've created this amazing legitimacy, if you want. So it's like there's so many Shopify stores out there, right? And if you're a consumer and you browse and you get on someone's site, first thing you want to know, like, who, especially in skincare, because, you have to have like some credibility and knowledge to make skincare. Anything that has to do with the skin, it's not just an art, but also a science, right? So when you land on someone's site, you want to make sure that these people know what they're doing, right? And we were able with Shopify and the website and redesigning the website and making something that's appealing and tells the story. We were able to like get the customer to go like, I actually want to be part of this club. I want to be part of this community, this Tracie Martyn wellness and beauty community. And I want to hear from these people. And of course, then it's important to engage with them and collect their information, because if you don't, then you're not able to stay in touch with them. So actually getting their emails and then having the ability to like reach them. We use Klaviyo as a platform, and it really has made a big difference to like engage with them on a constant basis. So that you can really try and personalize what they want to hear, and see, we would do a lot of segmentation now, and we can basically tell people what they want to hear. And that's something that I think is really also, what you and I want to discuss, in terms of like what our partner like Octane has done for us, which is like bringing it to the next level of like saying, hey, we're not just going to collect email, we're going to actually engage a little bit with a customer better and ask them some questions, so that we get to know who they are, right? And I think it's just so amazing when you really think about like sales, right? Like, who would you buy stuff from, right? Like who do you trust? And I always say, like, the number one person that I would trust if they make a recommendation, it would be a BFF, right? Like your best friend, right? Like if they tell you something, you would buy it, right? So how do you get, as a brand, how do you acquire that status of BFF? You have to get to know the person, right? They have to like you as a brand, and in order to like you, you got to do certain things. So for instance, we're like eco-friendly, we're natural and clean. We treat our team very well. So especially the Gen Z and the millennials, like they're really like, they look at brands and go like, okay, number one, are they legitimate? Like, do they know what they're doing? Number two, are they good people? Do they treat the environment well? Do they treat their team well? Do they care about quality, or are they just trying to make a buck? And then number three is like, do they care about me in particular? Do they care about getting to know me as a customer, so that they don't just throw anything in my face, whether I need it or not? So that's, I think, the conversation for us, in terms of like, how do we make the customer our BFF, and vice versa. The other thing that works, of course, I think, is if we don't listen to our BFF, we also listen to the people that we look up to, right? Like, the influencers, like Tinks is an example, or maybe one of the celebrities. So having that influencer marketing also part of the channel component is also very important. So I think the combination of all of these really make a big difference.
Yeah. Okay. So there are so many great things that you said in there that I want to put a pin in a couple of things and dive into a couple of things more. So one, I love the whole philosophy on making them your BFFs. We have this relationship of building a KLT relationship because people want to buy from people they know, like, and trust. So I think that's so brilliant. So one thing that I really want to focus on, because I think this is the challenge where most brands are facing today, is how do we not have a cookie cutter relationship with our customers? I know you started to mention some things like using Octane AI and segmenting in Klaviyo, but what are those protocols? How do you really apply that, considering you have such a you have so many different segments of customers, you have so many different ways that they are probably using your product, and you have so many different products that people can use? Like, how do you fit that into a clean way to actually manage all of that?
Well, it's not easy, I have to admit, and we're by all means, we're not like experts in segmentation, and we haven't even started with SMS, and I'm really excited about that, because I heard that, if like email can be like 30% of your e-com sales, and they are for us, you can have the same with SMS. So we're like definitely want to embark on that story. And maybe that is something that you can get even a little closer to your customer with SMS, because it's a little bit more instant. It's also a next level of trust. Like if someone gives you you give people your email, your acquaintances, but if you want to give them your text, that's definitely next level, right? So you're definitely closer to know, like, and trust, right? So I think that SMS maybe is the new frontier of like being able to get closer to the customer and get to know them better, and get to personalize better for them their experience and what they should buy. I just think that, the caveat is to make sure that you don't oversaturate their inbox, because that's the only thing where, like, even if a friend like calls you too many times or texts you too many times, you go like, I don't have anything else in my life. I don't have space for my other friends in my life, or like, so it's really a question of balance, how close do you get to your customer without stalking them? And how do you provide to them value in a way that you don't take too much of their time either, if that makes sense, right? So that's why I like the Octane quiz, because it's kind of like, it's pretty simple. Like, it's not like a lengthy situation, and it collects the data that's necessary. And we're also like always happy to like connect with a customer. We use Gorgias. I love Gorgias in terms of customer support. And we always love hearing about our customers and learning more about our customer if they want to dive deeper. But I think between those two, between like AI bots and then a really good customer support platform, I think that's all we can do right now. I know some people have like a lot of people on their team that can maybe even go a little deeper and talk to customers, but we're a small brand, so we really need to kind of make sure that we are careful with our headcount.
So okay, so first off, I am so excited that you all are getting into SMS. I feel like you have the right mindset for it, where you're not gonna just what I call abusing somebody's inbox. And also the fact that you already think through it like they're your friends, so you'll have different places and different messages to really talk to customers is really exciting. So I guess one thing that would be helpful to better understand that experience on site of how people are interacting and what they're sharing with you is, for anyone who hasn't gone to the website, can you quickly walk us through like what that quiz is and what the customer experience looks like on that front end?
Sure. So, I mean, basically, what it looks like is we have like a welcome flow, where we collect data through Klaviyo. But then when you stick on our site a little bit more, then we basically have a pop up for you and ask you if you are interested to fill out a quiz, and that process doesn't take a long time, but it really gives us a lot of information, and that's where we collect all the data from you. And then there's also a place where we collect it where you if you are about to drop off our website, we kind of try and catch you there with a pop-up, and that's the one that actually collects the SMS right now. um, so we kind of like in the beginning of all of this, we know that there's way more that we could do, and we're currently trying to figure out the best integration. Like we've spoken to different pop-up companies that could maybe help to make things a little bit more sophisticated. I know Octane integrates with a lot of things. Klaviyo is definitely the most amazing thing, because everything, all the data that we collect from Octane, it gets transferred directly to Klaviyo. So that's really, really powerful. So it's not necessary to do anything manually. Um, I don't know, like what is your opinion? Like, do you feel like there are SMS companies out there? Like, I know you guys do an amazing job with SMS, and what the capabilities are that are like beyond what we're doing. I'm here to learn as well. I mean, one of the things that I'm doing is trying to basically grow my business without having capital resources that my other brands that I'm competing with have. So it's like a lot of them are venture backed. So I see them like going and like with major companies like SMS companies that charge you a lot per month. And, I'm sure they do an amazing job, but I don't know whether I can quite afford that. So I've been kind of looking for hacks as a smaller company. I'm looking for hacks to find ways to generate traffic and revenue without spending too much, because the idea of like growing really fast like a hockey stick but being unprofitable and burning a lot of cash, I'm not saying there's much wrong with it, because eventually a lot of the companies, e-com companies, sell for a lot of money, so it makes a lot of sense to grow really fast. But if you don't have an investor, you don't have that capability. So you have to kind of like be careful who you select to work with.
So that's great that you asked. We actually just did a 5-part series with Postscript, all dedicated to how to get going from SMS. And I actually really want to take your last clip, because I feel like that is all we're here to do on this podcast, is how do you get hockey stick growth without burning through cash and being extremely unprofitable. So I think there's a lot of, considering what you're already doing with Octane AI, with your welcome flow and Klaviyo, there's a couple of tools. We typically do a lot of work with Postscript. but there are some other great providers that you can do the similar tactics with as well. But my quick 3 recommendations to get into SMS would be a 2-for-1 pop-up at the front of the site. So the same pop-up that you're capturing email on that thank you page, when you confirm their email you confirm that where they subscribe to email, present them with another offer to get their SMS. That way you can do welcome and abandoned cart flows. And then I don't know if you all do your own fulfillment, but one thing that has been it increases top line and bottom line at the same time is what we call a post-purchase immediate cross-sell. So somebody goes and buys from your site and it's like, hey, Jen, thanks for making your purchase on Tracie Martyn. If you buy before we ship your order out in 3 hours, here's this crazy good offer on this other product that directly takes them to another landing page where they can add it. We've built some calculators that I can send you after this of like where you can, based on what your CPA is and based on what your 2 product costs, you can actually calculate out the profit of what that bundle essentially will be. I would say those are like the lightest ways, very easy to get set up and going, that you can make a ton of SMS revenue. And then eventually like weave it into campaigns, product releases. I think the other really cool thing that for your brand specifically would be really interesting is because you have that very like a club and an exclusive experience, is doing keyword replies in SMS. So Tracie Martyn texts out, and it'd actually be pretty cool, like, hey, this is Marius from Tracie Martyn. We're going to do option A and option B. And then someone responds with, I don't know, I'm going to do option A. And they are sent to an exclusive experience, whether it's content, a new product drop, something that you all have going on at the brand. And I think that's another way that you can add an additional layer of personalization. And where I think this gets cool, just because of all the cool data that you have, is you can take the product quiz responses, what are people interested in, what do people want more of, and just do those and just release those SMSs once or twice a month, knowing that everybody's already interested in these 2 things, to keep routing them and dropping them into different experiences across the brand.
I love it. And it's funny that I've been looking at all of these things that you've been discussing, and I'm so excited to implement them. And actually, I have had conversations with Postscript, and I think that they're amazing. And I love the fact that they integrate with Klaviyo. And it's the idea to collect, like, in the beginning, not just email, but also SMS, considering that SMS is becoming so powerful, is just so logical to me. And it's funny because it's all about building for us. Also, it's about building our AOV and making sure that we have a good AOV to CAC ratio. And in a sense, when you get to do what you said, like you get to incentivize people at the end to buy something else because you already have them as a customer, and you can make them feel like very special and say, hey, why don't you get this other product at a discount? And in a sense, it does build your AOV, even so it might go out as a separate order, but you're getting more money, so eventually it should be really good for business. So it's kind of a no-brainer. I think we just really haven't gotten a chance yet to set everything up, but we're very excited about these methods. And I think everybody gets to benefit because ultimately the customer also wants to feel very, very special. Like everybody wants to feel like a VIP. And that's what we have. Like in a sense, a lot of people go like, well, are you guys in the spa just catering to like celebrities and VIPs? Like, is it just like, these superstars of the world? Or, and I'm like, no, anybody who comes is a VIP for us. And that's how they should feel. And if we are able to do the same thing on Shopify that we're doing in the spa, like give people that feeling like, oh my God, like I am as important as any of these superstar clients, I think it's then we have achieved what the brand really stands for. Like honoring the customer and really like making them feel special. So because it's not just about like the face, what we do, like it's not just about like making someone look good, but it's the way we want to make them feel, right? So ultimately the end goal is like we want to make sure that you feel special, and we want to make sure that you feel confident and happy. And it's just the beautifying is just a vehicle towards that, right? So the whole experience, including the way we interact with you on SMS or email has to keep building that trust and building your feeling of like, oh my God, like I really, these people really want to take care of me like I am Kim Kardashian or any of the superstars, Rihanna or anybody like that. And, I don't feel like they're giving me a different service.
I love that philosophy because it's like, right. That's like the marketer's dream, is to sell everybody that aspiration and actually fulfill on it. Because then essentially it's just, which channels can we afford to deploy? Because once you can do it, you can do it in every channel. And it really helps inform the strategy so much. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask, just because we were catching up before this and you were sharing that you had just done a lot of work for the Met Gala. So do you just want to, I just feel like that's such a unique event for someone in our industry. Like, hey, we outfitted a bunch of celebrities who went and like were at the Met Gala. So just what is that event like? Does it have any impact on the business other than just being like incredibly cool? Is there any other ways that you think about it, or is there anything that you do that like makes that more special than obviously being like one of the most prestigious events of the whole year?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that everything that we do, like whether it's the Oscars or the Met Gala, I think it does. We always see like an impact on our website, and with this whole iOS 14.5 situation, the attribution from Facebook, Instagram ads is so messed up. But we usually see our MER, our media efficiency ratio, go up when we do these events. And it's one thing more people are looking for, because they see, sometimes a lot of the customers like post, like, I don't know if you know who Evan Mock is. He's like the super cool like skater with the pink hair, and he is one of the stars of the Gossip Girl reboot. And he's just amazing, and he came in with his beautiful girlfriend Grace Sorrenti, and they did an Instagram about like holding hands and getting the facial, and of course he was preparing for the Met Gala, and it was huge. Like it went viral, and it popped up on peoplemagazine.com and in other, like I think even the Daily Mail. Like it's amazing how it really flew into our building our e-commerce and our basically our organic search. And we also notice, obviously, when you for Google, it makes a sense. So even for your ads, it does make a difference when more people are searching for you in terms of your search branded keywords. So does it have an impact? Absolutely. And does it also help the brand? you know it does help also, because we actually also reach out, like we can tell the story to the customers, right? So we were actually thinking about doing like I think you can do an SMS campaign, right, with keywords, right? So it's like you can do like keyword Met Gala as an SMS campaign. So we were thinking to leverage that even more so. um, yeah, and doing like emails about it. So it's the customer wants to know that they're part of a brand that is unique and different. And this, like, catering to like the most beautiful faces. We got to meet Halsey, and she's just so gorgeous, and she's so kind, and her music is just so heart piercing and beautiful. And people want to know what these people do, and they look up to them. So it really does create an enormous amount of credibility. Um, but I mean, it's not like it's like the Oprah show, because there's no call to action per se from a lot of the buzz. But this is where we as a brand then have to come in and see how we can leverage all of this halo and goodwill, right? And see if we can reach the customers and tell them the story, and see if they want to get that red carpet glow, right? And it could be even like, people that, of course, they're going to go like, well, I'm not going to like an event like that. Well, why does that relate to me necessarily? Well, the red carpet Met Gala is when you need to glow and look beautiful. Well, where else do you need to do that, where you're going to take a lot of pictures as a person who's not necessarily in the public eye? So that could be, for instance, a wedding, or an anniversary, or anything where you need to look better than normal. Like, it basically, that's your Met Gala, that's your Oscars. So we do have a lot of brides coming, and we do have people who want to go like on a date, and they want to like look the best possible way, and they want to spend the money and get the facial, or at least get the product. We have one product called the enzyme exfoliant, and it's just such a beautiful color. And that's another thing, a lot of the clients that are went to the Met Gala, they also purchased that product. So it's like, if they use that mask and then they do, it's just so appealing. It's like this aqua colored blue mask, and then you do a swipe up story with that. That's straight to my Shopify. So a lot of people purchase products from there, and it's a facial in a pot is what we trademarked it for, right? So it's like, okay, you can't get the Met Gala facial because you're like maybe in LA or maybe in Arizona or whatever, but you can get like the equivalent of it to some degree in this product that's a facial in a pot, and you can look amazing. So it's a way to like say, look, this is the next best thing to the Met Gala experience, and we're offering it to you in your home.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's way more affordable. And I think that's so cool because that perfectly takes the aspirational and makes it personal. And I think like right, that's the experience we all aspire to really achieve as marketers. And I think the other interesting thing that you brought up is, yeah, like there's probably so much great content that from all of that prep and from all of that those pieces that you can really translate into just your general marketing and the like day-to-day of the business. So I know you're incredibly busy. I know I've taken up a ton of your time. So I just have a couple questions in wrapping up that I like to ask everybody. And I have a really good feeling that today you're going to give me some really unique answers. So I always love this. So my first question is, if you were going to recommend one piece of content that you recommend that everybody reads, what would it be? The only rule is that it cannot be your own.
Well, because we're talking e-com, right? And because I'm actually catering to a lot of different generations, um, I'm just gonna say, you just gotta check out my friend Tinks. And the reason why is, I'll tell you why, is just she's so freaking funny. And she's talking about the rich moms, right? But everybody watches her, like the teenage girls want to know what she does. So it's like, it's really, really funny. And she talks about relationships, she talks about diet, she talks about what she does for beauty, obviously. She's really, really funny. So I would check out things on TikTok as well as Instagram and have a laugh. It doesn't take much time, and you learn something and you laugh your head off.
Yeah, that's great. I always feel like I'm always so focused and so business heavy that it is great to like have something that's nice and like entertaining and like makes you feel good to mix in.
Totally. I mean, I have to say, like, also, like, the way I'm working right now, I wish I would have time to like read some really, really cool books about business and stuff. But I literally, like, I'm raising capital, I'm running the spa, I'm dealing with celebrities. We're like, there's so much stuff. So it's like, if I have a moment to just like watch someone's Instagram or TikTok and laugh a little bit, like, that's so precious. And when I raise my capital, I'll be able to like read some really cool books. I'm like an avid reader, like, of everything, like, from, like, content on like biographies and business books and, motivational speakers. And so I miss that. But, like, when you run your business and you work this hard, like, you just have to be careful that you get some sleep, 'cause instead of like reading some amazing books is great, but like, maybe if you don't get enough sleep, that would be not a good idea.
Yeah, definitely. So my next question is, if you could go back 20 years and impress one lesson on yourself when you were just starting out, what would it be?
What I would do is, and I don't know whether I had an option for this 20 years ago. Um, I would actually, I would raise capital from the very beginning so I can surround myself with people that are highly specialized in certain fields and can really bring the company forward very fast. Now, in our case, that might have not been an option, and it might have not even be the best for this particular brand. But let's say if I wanted to do like just a regular DTC CPG brand of, I'm a nutritionist, so let's just say I would do like a functional food, like a bar, right, or like a drink or something like that. I would never want to do it the way I did it with this brand, but it wouldn't be necessary also because it wouldn't be a luxury brand. So you can go much faster. You can raise seed capital, have everything in place, have the best team, have the best practices, and everything buttoned up, and just like fuel this race car, right? What happened with Tracie Martyn is that first it's a prestige offering. So as we talked, like you have to, it's almost like a wine. It needs to age a little bit until it's really, really brings out its value. And then also, I have to be honest with you, like, I don't know, like a lot of the tools that really make a business into a hockey stick were not available right then. So there was no Shopify, there was no Klaviyo, there was no SMS, there was so you'd have to kind of like grow a brand more towards through the stores, and that's a very, very hard thing to do, because your margins are bad and you have to like hire a lot of people. So I don't really regret it. I just wish we had 20 years ago the tools that we have now, because it would have been just like incredible what can be built, considering like that we started from day one with like an incredible amount of like press and an incredible amount of credibility. In the beginning we started with like the Madonna and people like that, but it really pretty much instantly, like Naomi Campbell's been a client for all this time. And it's just amazing how we sustained all of that in terms of the buzz. But in the beginning, we didn't know how to leverage it, if that makes sense. We didn't know how to leverage it, and we also didn't have the tools to leverage it. So that's why I'm really excited right now, because now I can take that buzz and plug it into the funnel.
Yeah, and there's so much more data now, and there's so much more at your fingertips that you can also move so much faster. That it definitely feels like it's a very different game from even probably like 7 or 8 years ago, like before Shopify became really big in the space. So,
and also the type of products that I sell, to be honest with you, like more than 50% of Americans are now interested in clean beauty and natural stuff. Before, it's like they almost thought that natural and clean and green didn't work, right? And to some extent they were right, because a lot of the clean green products were very basic, right? Just like cleanse your skin and moisturize your skin. Whereas now you can make a product that actually targets wrinkles, targets lack of elasticity. You have hyperpigmentation, you got too much sun, we can help with that. So we use like natural cosmeceuticals to kind of power up like these natural products. So you get like a derm strength product now. And we were the only ones who kind of like tapped into that in the beginning, but it was hard to do because it was just a first, Well, always when you're a pioneer, you're always like, you have to swim over the river, right, to create the first bridge, right? So it's kind of a situation where you get through the hardship to be the pioneer.
Yeah, definitely. But now you have all that knowledge, all those resources, and the playbooks to be super successful. So my next question, one of my last questions in wrapping up, is if you were sitting in my seat, if there was something that we should have talked about today, what did I miss? What should I have asked you about?
Oh, I don't think you missed anything, Jeremy. I think you're amazing. I mean, it's such a pleasure to be interviewed by you, and I really appreciate also you like being able to like give some advice as well. I know that you're very, very candid and honest about like the recommendations, and I wanted to hear from you. I want to hear from you more, so I hope we stay in touch, because it's like you're such an expert in the field, and I really appreciate it. You actually validated a little bit for me my strategy going forward, because the things that you are mentioning are the most important things that I haven't done, are literally on my schedule. So thank you for that. And thank you for this amazing interview. You're really incredible. And since you're in New York, please come and visit me.
Yeah, I definitely will. Thank you for that. Honestly, just try to be helpful in any way that I can. So my last question, wrapping up, if someone wants to learn more about Tracie Martyn or yourself, where are the best places to find you?
So the best thing to do is, to be honest with you, is go to our website. So it's traciemartyn.com. And, if you have questions, you can always email us on customer service at traciemartyn.com. Obviously, you are welcome, and I encourage you to take the Octane quiz. It's brilliant. And this way, we will be able to personalize your experience. But you can also, if anybody is interested in helping with the business or has ideas, or I'm raising capital right now as well. So if anybody wants to help us get to that hockey stick, I'm at Marius at traciemartyn.com. So it's just Marius at traciemartyn.com. Look forward to hearing from everybody, and come and beautify with us. We're going to get you that red carpet glow.
Awesome. Well, there's nothing I can say that's better than that. So thank you, Marius. I really appreciate it. Thanks for listening to another week's episode of the Messenger Mastermind podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with another e-commerce marketer. And always let us know what you think down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe. If you're looking for cutting-edge tactics and the resources that we rely on to run our businesses, sign up for our newsletter. We'll include a link down below. As always, stay confident, connect with your customers, and keep